Welcome to the G-Spot.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Hello everybody, welcome to Dynamic GT League's G-Spot. That was well timed, Ray, exactly the same time, just as I was out of breath. I didn't know I was going to do that. Okay, Ray, what's the G-Spot?
The G-Spot is where we look at incidents or things that have been found funny or stuff we might have seen, mainly for educational purposes and then sometimes taking the piss.
Absolutely. And sometimes, if someone's been reported for something, we can have a look at why. So it's to look at the weird and wonderful things in DGT League. If anybody has got anything that they would like us to look at or explain or have a conversation about, let us know. We can always have a think about it. Okay, we're going to crack straight on here. Sort of mention that last week we had a report from the race last week and we couldn't look at it because we did the G-Spot last week before the stewarding was done. So we're going to have a look at it now. So Ray, would you like to talk us through what the report was and what the steward's verdict was?
Lap 13 La Rouge Jama details and gain a lot. Not Jimmy, Jama. Stuart's view is Jimmy makes a mistake and misses a corner and then rejoins. Stuart's verdict: no further action. While Jimmy misses a corner and does not back off on rejoining, he was not near any other cars at the time and did not gain any position or lasting advantage in the steward's view, and he only missed a corner on that lap rather than it being a regular thing.
Now, this was one, I believe the person who reported it may not have agreed with that verdict, but I do want to clarify a couple of things. This is with my steward. I'm being a steward now. When I looked at this incident, I looked at it and went, okay, he has attempted to make the corner, he has got it wrong, and he's then gone through the exit of the corner. And for me, he's made a mistake. If it's a one-off, then no penalty. We tell him off. If it was something that had been reported multiple times, like if someone said, "Oh, well, he did it on this lap and this lap," and he just kept doing it, like, right, that's when I would say, right, okay, that's taking the piss a bit. Because what we would say is, if you cut a corner or run wide on corners, you definitely shouldn't be gaining advantages from it, but you should also be trying not to be off track. Now, interestingly, when I met with my fellow stewards regarding this incident, one of them said straight away, well, I've looked at all the other laps, at which I said, well, nobody asked you to. What are you doing looking at the other laps? You were only asked to look at this lap. And we sort of had a joking argument about that. And then when the other steward turned up, they said, I happened to have a look at all the laps. And I was like, well, what are you doing? And so we both then took the piss out of the other person for looking. Which, I mean, it's not what was asked to be done, but I can kind of understand why they looked. See, I was of the view of, in this incident, he's attempted to make the corner, he's got it wrong, just tell him off, give him a bollocking. From the other steward's view, it was similar, but they wanted to know, well, is it a one-off or not? And it was a one-off. And because it was a one-off, then bollocking rather than any kind of penalty. So the steward's review may have had a lot of words in it, but basically, Jimmy, don't go fucking corners, all right? Yeah, does that explain it any better, Ray? No.
I don't know.
Right, well, let's go and take a look at it, shall we? So, in 3, 2, 1, let's go. G1, race 6, report, Jimmy cut my corner. He cut my corner, did Jimmy? So here we see Jimmy heading into Eau Rouge and goes wide, goes across the tarmac and continues on. So from Jimmy's view, we'll see that he does get on the brakes, he doesn't quite slow down enough, and he then does go full throttle across the corner. So not a lot to look at with that one. No doubt that Jimmy definitely went wide, did end up cutting the top of Eau Rouge. But for me, like I said, he attempted to make the corner, got it wrong. If he'd have made no attempt to make the corner and had done that, then I'd probably I would view it differently. And I'd be like, well, hang on a minute, you're not even tried. But that's not the case there. Anything to add on that one, Ray? Bullshit! Oh, no, okay, so we'll go on to the next one, shall we? Right, we can go straight through these, Ray. I hope you're ready for this. So,
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1, let's go. G2, race 7, the big one, on lap 1. So we saw this kind of on the first lap from Blue Moon. Looking at SRI here, going down towards turn 2 into the flat out left. And there's a little bit of contact from the cars behind, and they're wobbling a little bit, and they're wobbling a bit more, and then, yeah, big crash. We can't really see exactly sort of what happened there. Now, I haven't actually really looked at this much beforehand, so we'll see what we've got going on. So Bob moves across in front of Rich to get Gary's slipstream, nothing wrong there, then moves down a bit. That all seems okay now, it's getting a bit bumpy. Can't really see a lot from Rich's view here. But obviously a bit more bumping there, and yeah, and then a big crash. So we'll go on board with another car. So we'll go on board with Dave. You can see Bob's got himself between those two cars, and it's kind of like, it's almost like cars just moving about, trying to avoid each other, and then just bumping other cars that are there, and yeah, and then continuing on. Dave survives most of that. So we'll have a look at Bob here. Ducks in behind Gary. Then goes...
Gets a bit of a bum draft, doesn't he?
Yeah, goes for a bit of a gap. Gary may have come down a little bit there, and then Bob perhaps goes down a bit on Dave, and yeah, tricky one. I'm not sure if we've got another view on it. We might have. I think we might have a view from Gary's view. So, yeah, I mean, does Gary move down the track? I mean, it's hard to tell. Yeah, he does a little bit, but it's kind of as Bob is sort of getting there, so it wouldn't have had much time to react, and yeah, and a big crash we have. Have we got any more views on there? I'm not sure. Oh, well, yeah, rear view from SRI. So I wonder if this will give us a decent view or not. Let's have a look. So Bob moves down, nothing wrong here. Gary moves down, a little bit of bumping. Now I think they're just wobbling, you know. Dave got low, Bob come down. You know what? Me personally, I'm just thinking there, that's a NASCAR crash. Sometimes in oval racing, shit happens when people are trying to give each other room, little contacts, little nudges, and it just has a massive knock-on effect. Could I blame anybody there? I don't know. Like I say, is it? Well, maybe it's just a bit of a NASCAR crash.
Yeah, I don't think I could blame just one person on that. I don't think I can blame MD, to be honest with you, because it was a series of events, wasn't it? It wasn't just like this one event just caused this thing. It was more...
I think just about everybody there had a wobble at some point on their own. That
try to give each other room so they're moving about, and because they're so close together, and then you think you've got space down the inside or up at the top, and when you go there, there's a car there, and then you go, oh shit, and you maybe get a little fright or a scare, and you move the other way, and then you go, fuck!
There's a car there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I'd just say it's kind of NASCAR racy incident type thing. Like, there's so much going on there that you would have to study the inputs of every driver involved, their positions, and
I mean,
everything.
Let's be fair. If someone was to report that, we would do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm looking at it and thinking, it's not like one person has fucked up big time that's taken out loads of people, or one person that's fucked up a little bit, and it's just, I think it's just a lot of little wobbles that everybody's had at different times. I don't think anybody's done anything where you could go, right, straight off the bat, yeah, that was your fault. It's not like you go, right, well, you brake deep, you brake late, got into the corner too fast, but it's not like that at all. And it's not a normal kind of crash that we would have in DGT, because we don't normally race the ovals. And the thing is, I mean, I know in a bit of the practice that we did beforehand, before this race, if you get down low into lane 1 and you dip a wheel on the apron, it will flick you and send you, like, it wobbles your car and sends you up the track. And we saw that throughout the race on Sunday. On occasion, a car would go from sort of, instead of hitting the apex, would end up drifting up the track a bit. And when that happens, if there's a car next to you, it's going to end up in a bit of a bumpy. But yeah,
and then you've got maybe that car going for his line round the corner, and he's just meeting that line. You know,
Yeah.
We've covered it many times before, where you can take different lines round the corner, but there's this one point you are just going to meet, and it's hard. It's hard to try not meeting sometimes.
Absolutely. And and not only that, I mean, at the speeds that we're going around a track like this, a little touch that sends you into a crash it'll feel like such a big hit. Okay, should we move on to the next one?
Yep.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, let's go. G3, race 7, box. What have we got here then? So we're having a look at Dave the Harp, alongside with Bob and Rich Blues. They're going into the flat out left-hander. So let's see if they get through here okay. Yep. Bob sort of drifted a bit high up the track there, but got away with it. Dave up the inside. Rich going for a switchback. Oh, Dave and Bob going a bit right. Oh, a little bit of touching. Oh, that'd be Dave in the pits then. Okay.
Which Bob? He hits. No, it's Jimmy. It hits the apron. I thought it was Bob.
Yeah, Jimmy tapped the. That's what I was on about when you dip a wheel on the apron. Okay, so Bob goes into the corner a bit deep. Dave goes in. That's fine. I think Rich does a nice little switchback here. Dave avoiding Bob, just sort of tags Rich. I mean, I don't know if Rich is coming up at the same time. We'll see here. But I think everything's okay here. Oh yeah, Rich and Dave come together, don't they? As Dave's moved away from Bob, Rich is sort of coming towards him, and they've met at the same point. Yes, I don't. Yeah, Bob.
I'll wait till it's finished. Could it be that you need that little bit of right steer at the end because of the camber?
It might be. It might just be.
Maybe with Dave the Harp, he's not put it on, and it's kind of drifted him down to Rich.
It might be. I mean, he may have been sort of trying to stay away from Bob. It may be what you were saying. It could be either one. I mean, my view might be wrong. I do think that, for me, I don't think I could put blame on anybody there. I think that's just massively unfortunate for Dave because he's kind of going left at the same time that Rich is going right. They've just met together. I don't think I could put blame on anyone for that. I do think that is just desperately unlucky for Dave.
I'm just having an wee look.
Well, what?
I don't know. I think it might just be the way the suspension of the car is as well. So yeah, it's a hard one. Must be one of the incidents.
Yeah, I mean, not every crash has somebody to blame. That's why some of them are called accidents. Anything else?
It looked kind of unusual, so I just wanted to have a wee look back. But you can see Dave the Harp putting on the bit of right hand turn. So it would just be one of the incidents of cars close together, try to give each other room,
and someone ends up in the pits. Yeah. Okay, right. Let's move on to the next one then. So, 3. Are you actually? I'll just check. Are you in position? Okay.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Let's go. G4 race 7. Nudge, nudge. Wink box. Okay. So what we got? Jimmy behind Dave. And Rich getting a bit wobbly, tagging the side of Jimmy. Dave ran up wide, tagged the wall. Come down and tag Jimmy, and Jimmy's in the pits. Okay, so we'll have a look. So, Rich hit the wall and then tagged Jimmy. Dave tagged the wall. That sort of sent him down the track, give Jimmy a little nudge. I think Jimmy could have avoided going in the pits there if he really wanted to. So let's look. Yeah, Dave tagged the wall and may have actually got a little nudge from Rich. Interesting. So maybe Dave was boosted a little bit here. I reckon we'll see Rich's nose. Yeah, there, look. So, and
I don't see Jimmy's input.
Well, what I will say about that one is one of the reasons why I've shown that one was because I believe at some point during the race there was a radio message of I think it was Dave saying, "Go ahead, Jimmy, what are you doing?" And Jimmy said, "It wasn't me. I'm nowhere fucking near you because I'm in the pits." Well, that's why he was in the pits, and I think he might have actually said, "You put me in the pits," so I'm not sure. Now, Jimmy said he wasn't going to report it or anything as far as I know, but I just wanted to have a look at it out of interest, so I thought I'd put it there because then Jimmy can see, okay, it was Rich's fault. Rich hit Dave. But also, I think if Jimmy really wants to
a number of things as well, because
ignore all that though. If Jimmy didn't want to go in the pits, he had plenty of time to just steer right a little bit and not go in the pits.
Yeah. Well, but I don't see Jimmy's input, did I?
Go back, it's on there. You might not see his inputs, but you'll see his car just goes dead straight into the... He could have stayed on track.
He doesn't really fight it, does he?
No, he's kind of like, I'm gonna nudge down to right. I'm gonna get myself on the G-Spot for a dodgy pit entry.
Yeah. I think Jimmy's to blame for that.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah. Right, on to the next one then. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go. G5 race 7, Almighty Bosch. Okay, so into the final corner, we've got Jimmy and Bob following each other. Dave the Art, Rich Blues up wide. Bob's okay, so I think we saw a bit of this on the stream. This is lap 28, so maybe not the bit I'm on about. Oh yeah, this was the 3 cars that nearly ended up in the pit lane. Right, so I've shown a few different sort of spectator views there, but we'll have a better look at this. Now, if I remember rightly, I think Bob just got unlucky and drifts up the track, and that starts.
Rich is there.
Rich is there, and that contact just then sends Bob down the track in front of Dave, collects Gary. And again, I mean, I don't know if I could necessarily put blame on anyone here, because drifting up the track can happen. Rich, I mean, I'm not saying it's Rich's fault. Rich sort of gets there at just the perfectly wrong time. I mean, Dave's massively unlucky, because when that happens, it just collects Dave and Gary. How they didn't end up in the pits, I don't know. But again, I mean, yeah, I think this is just a NASCAR crash for me. Bob's unlucky, it drifts up wide, perhaps didn't know Rich was there. And,
it's a new spot.
yeah. And then Gary with a lovely little spin. Now, interestingly, Gary practicing there what'll happen to him on the last lap, I think. So, anything to add on that one, Ray?
Nah, it just looks like a classic NASCAR, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cars up there, you're drifting up there, and you like that car's against the wall, so it's not going to go anywhere. You're going to bounce off it, and unfortunately, it bounced them down the track into Gary and Dave the Hart.
Yeah, I think I can understand Rich. The contact happening with Rich and Rich going, oh fucking hell, and then when Bob was bounced down the track, Dave probably won't have known that Bob was sort of went up the track and has been bounced back down. So Dave may have just thought that Bob's come down the track, and might think, fucking hell, what's he doing? And similar with Gary, they may not have seen what was happening. A bit like, you know, when we've seen cars going too wide into a corner, and then we've seen cars being 3 wide, and the one on the inside doesn't know that there's another one on the far outside, or vice versa. And that may be a case here where for Dave and Gary, they're thinking, fucking hell, what's happened here? But when you see the whole picture, you go, okay. Because, and the reason I say okay is because I'm pretty sure we saw Gary in that corner during the race drift up the track and tag the wall a few times. And it's one of those things, when you're doing something like that yourself, you can understand when it happens to someone else.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
No, just classic.
I'd blame Rich. Okay. Right, should we move on to the next one? The last one, I think it is. Yeah, it's the last one. There's a few angles of this one. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, let's go. Gee whiz, race 7, the other big one. Now, this is the one at the end of the race, the final lap around the final corner. We've got Gary, Dave, Jimmy, Bob, Rich behind them. 3 wide. Oh, bouncy, bouncy off the wally, bouncy. Richie, wobbly, wobbly. Gary, deepy, deepy. Slidey sideways up into the barrier with Bob. Oh, and then Jimmy comes up. I mean, we're not getting a great view of it here. But, yeah, we don't get a great view of it here, but we are going to ride on board with just about every car that is involved here. So, let's go with Gary, shall we? Because I do think whatever happens early, there is a mistake from Gary a little late on. Or Gary dipped a wheel on the apron, the bounce off the wall. But this is where Gary breaks a little late here now for the final corner. I do think that move there onto Bob, that's a bit naughty-ish from Gary. Whether he was trying to let Bob through or not, I don't know. But yeah, I think Gary's definitely got himself a little bit. Should perhaps look in the mirror a little bit into the final corner. The bit that happens before that is difficult. So let's see, we're on board with Jimmy now. I don't really see a lot to the left, but again, I think we've got 3 cars sort of trying to give each other room, and it's sort of wobbly into each other. But then, yeah, we see Gary go in a bit hot. Dave's drifted wide. Jimmy says thank you very much. A little bit of a touch on Bob there. I don't know. Hard to say if I'd put any blame. So let's have a look at Dave. So Dave's got Gary to the left, Jimmy to the right. Jimmy, does he come down a bit? Kind of. Yes and no. Gary's dipped a wheel on the apron, sends him up. So it's all very fine margins. this is where Gary goes in way too hot again. So that bit there for me, Gary could get into trouble for that, and then that. Oh, Dave, you're a lucky boy to not get collected by Bob. Now, Rich, minding his own business in 10th place, just and we see him wobbling, and Rich tagging the barrier on his own. And we see more wobbling. That's a big hit off the wall. So much so that Rich shits himself. And is so close to getting away with this, going for the move up alongside Dave, and just gets tagged by the spinning Bob. And he can hold it, he does just, and then gets tagged again. Okay, so let's go on board with Bob. So this is where Bob was in 6th place, behind SRI, going into the final corner. Bob hasn't done anything wrong here. Here comes Gary! Bosh! So that's where I think even Gary would admit, okay, if you're Bob there, you're going to be thinking, what the fuck? You go into that corner in 6th, come out of it in 10th. Yeah, might be a little bit miffed about that one. What do you make of that then, Ray?
Naughty Gary.
What about the rest of it?
Well, it kind of starts with Gary hitting the apron in turn 3, and then
Does it start just before that with Jimmy moving down on Dave?
Is he? No, it's very minute touch from Jimmy.
Yeah,
it's not enough, but it's when
Gary dips away.
Gary apron it puts them all together, puts Jimmy on the wall, and then Gary just misses his breaking point. He's like, shit, should I break now or do I wait a couple more feet?
I should have braked.
But yeah, I'm just looking at it again from Rich's. So you've got no, there's not really a touch that puts Gary into the apron, and then it's just that late. It's like 2 different incidents, but they're that close together. It's like it could have stemmed from Gary when he hits the apron to his car being a wee bit out of control, and then not too busy try to control the car and forgets his braking point, and then it just wipes out Bob, and I could see why Bob would be angry.
Yeah. I mean, at the
time... And then Jimmy, just for the effect, comes in with the rear end and slaps it on his face.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the time of us recording this, no reports have been put in. Whether any reports will be put in or not, we don't know at this point. But so I'm kind of not looking at it in a fully steward's view, because, like you said, for me, there is 2 separate parts. There's that first part, which looks like it could be instigated by Gary dipping a wheel on the apron. If that was the case, I think I'd find it difficult to give a penalty or anything on that bit, because why has he dipped a wheel on the apron? Is it because he's trying to give room to the cars next to him? I'd perhaps feel a bit rough, like penalising somebody for doing the right thing, and getting caught out by the track. The second part, though, I think, for me, it'd be like, okay, Gary, that was a bit late. Just in case Gary's partner is watching, yes, it's called the G-Spot because of Gary. It's not actually like the sexual G-Spot, it's the Dynamic GT League's Gary Spot. It is named after him.
Because he's got the record in a season. Yeah.
The most amount of penalties in one race.
Was it one race?
It was one race, yes. I think it was 12-point penalty in one race. A total of 12-point penalty in one race. I think it was 4 different penalties. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, Gary may have been caught out prior to that, but yeah, it's a difficult one. But I feel for Bob with that one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, well, having said, I feel for Bob for that one. I feel for sort of Dave on that one, and sort of Jimmy. But those sort of incidents that we've seen in this G-Spot, though, very similar in a way, in the little contacts, like two cars bouncing off a wall and it sending a car flying. I mean, we saw what happened when 2 hit it, when the 3 of them hit it, Gary, Dave and Jimmy then. That was a big hit into the wall. Even though it came from the tiniest of moments. But yeah. And now we can understand why Gary said, I fucking hate this car. But yeah. So I don't know if I've got anything else to
Wait till the next track, you'll hate it even more.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I've got anything else to sort of to add to that, really, other than I know it was a tough race, but I can also understand why anybody in any of those crashes we saw there may have at the time been frustrated, thinking somebody else had done something daft. Whereas I'm looking at it and thinking, you know what, I think there's a lot of people that have just been very unlucky in there.
Yeah. There could have been a few unlucky incidents, as we would say, but yeah.
Yep. Right, I think
it was a good race, though.
There it was. Right, I think that's us done.
All right.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to mention.
Yep.
So, yeah, thank you for joining us on the G-Spot, Ray.
No worries at all, of course.
And we'll see what we get from the streets of Sardegna for next week. Wall, barrier, sticky out wall.
Wally!
Hey, Wally! And then pit lane. I'm in the pits again. Right, okay.
You need to find the Wally sound and just press a button and it comes up.
Maybe I should get Wally to sing. I will actually mention, for anyone that doesn't know, I have been singing songs with Jamie Carter. They're on my YouTube channel. I have recorded the next one, but I'm having a few technical difficulties. But yeah, so there are more to come.
Voice mod not working properly.
It's not allowing me to send the recording to myself. I have to do it a certain way. I can't just transfer it off my phone. It doesn't work. I normally send it through Messenger, but it keeps telling me my internet's not connected, but it fucking is. Right, okay, let's bring an end to this.
Have a good one.
We'll see if we're back on for another G-Spot next week. Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy, and we'll see you all again soon.
Ta-da.